Welcome to Out Loud, a comedy podcast where I talk with queer comedians about identity as well as just talk and shop about the comedy community. I'm your host, Corbin Willmorth, and I'm here because, well, what comedian just doesn't have a podcast nowadays? Alright, welcome to this episode of Out Loud, a queer comedy podcast. I'm your host, Corbin Willmorth, and as always, thank you so much for tuning in. And I would also like to give a thanks to the people who showed up to the Pride at the Parkade show that we did on the 5th. It was a great show. I thank everyone so much for the crowd that did show up. One thing I will say is that I was told that it was going to be happening near the First Friday Face-Off. That is a new thing that happens in Spokane every month that started like this year. I was not aware that we were literally going to be right next door to it. Like, literally, like, the Friday Face-Off was right there, and then, like, 20 feet away was our little setup that we were doing. Like, I counted at least two 40-year-old wine moms, and I did, in my set, tell them to call me, and none of them did. I guess I'm just not worthy of the 40-year-old wine mom. That said, I have a great interview for us tonight because today I will be talking with the first Portland-based comedian that I have, and that is Allie J. Ward.
I did manage to get myself a boyfriend, though. Thank you. Interesting thing about him is he's British. Oh, I know. And I thought that at first, too, you know? And I thought it was so cute because he say things like brekkie instead of breakfast. If he's going through it, he's having a bit of a wobble. So cute. But the more I'm dating this guy, the more I realize how deeply unsexy the language and accent actually is, you know? Right? And like, I cannot be turned on when he says he wants to put it in my arse. What is that?
As always, it was a great pleasure to talk with my guest today, and I was going to do a little promotion, talk about some stuff that they do during the little intro where I introduce them. However, I realized that at the very beginning of the interview, they kind of plugged themselves. So, like, it would be weird for me to introduce them and then have them introduce themselves in literally the same exact way. So I just figured I'd let Allie do the talking here. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I will see you guys during the ad break. All right, recording in progress. So, how have you been today?
I'm okay. I had therapy like half an hour before this, so
Oh, okay. That
you know, it
that will
wasn't a
be
bad session or anything, but
okay. That will be great
uh-huh.
for one of the questions that I have for sure.
Okay.
But but yeah, I guess if you just want to start and like introduce yourself, tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Okay. Well, hello. My name is Allie J. Ward. I am a queer and trans woman from Portland, Oregon. I primarily do stand-up comedy, but I also participate in some improv and some
Hmm.
storytelling. And if you're trying to follow things that I do, if you're in Portland, I produce a few shows. One is called Lady Killers. It's
Ooh.
a women and queer focused comedy show. And then I also produce a show called Hear You Loud and Queer, um, which is a queer focused comedy show. Um, do a few other things too, but those are my two big ones.
All
Yeah.
right. Hell yeah.
Hmm.
How dare you promote yourself at the start of the show instead of the end? How I'm just joking around.
Queuing me up.
So I did I will say for a few days leading up to this, I was like looking at your Instagram a little bit. I saw
Uh-huh.
that you got a consultation for surgery. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I've been on a wait list for months
Hmm.
through my lovely state-provided health care
Oh yeah.
for low-income folks like myself. But yeah, I have a consultation coming up. It doesn't mean anything, but I'm hoping it leads
Yeah.
to something cool. So,
Yeah, I remember how big the consultation was for my fiance who
uh-huh.
had top surgery.
Oh, cool.
What I will say is do your research into what surgeon you're doing because we didn't know
Okay.
this until like recently, but like a month ago, our the doctor they went through was
Hmm.
blasted in the news because apparently he's been drinking on the job for 10 years.
Cool.
Love to hear that
Uh-huh.
from your local plastic surgeon. Love to hear
Yeah.
that.
Uh, cool. Good
Yeah,
advice. I'll do a little background check as best as I can
absolutely. All
on
right.
whoever I get paired with.
All right, so here's my first question. What's
Okay.
something you're obsessed with right now that hasn't turned into a joke yet?
That's a fun question. One like something that I'm obsessed with trying to make it a joke,
Hmm.
and I just haven't had like I haven't figured out the correct formula, or maybe it's just that I don't have the right audience, but I am obsessed with death metal,
Okay.
and I am trying to figure out how to make it a joke, but I mean the thing about death metal is like it makes it so hard to be a fan because
Hmm.
I can't with people who aren't into it try to get them into it by explaining what's great about it. You know?
Right,
Like
right.
like it's not, I can't be like, yeah, I'm just like, I'm really into goat whore and anal cunt and like my favorite song is Anal Prolapse Suffocation by Infant Annihilator. Like I can't
Yeah,
have
that's
normal conversations as a death metal fan.
oh my God.
It's
The,
even worse trying to take people to a show.
oh,
So
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh God, no. I had this one friend in high school who was telling like I am an avid metal fan myself, and I had this
Okay.
one friend in high school who I forget the name of the fucking band, but it was like the name of the band itself was just like a paragraph long, and he was
Yeah.
really trying to like sell me on it. And it's really hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it doesn't take itself seriously at
yeah, no.
all,
No,
which
no,
is
no,
why I
no, it's
like
not.
it,
Yeah.
but I can't convince somebody casually trying to explore it what's good
Hmm.
about it.
Yeah, oh God.
Yeah.
I don't know, workshopping a joke like that immediately, my brain goes to my fiance and I were just talking about this Swedish Norwegian death metal band called Mayhem. You've
Uh-huh.
probably heard of them. And how in their early stages a few of the members used to burn churches throughout Norway. I don't
Okay.
know. In my head I can connect that to be like, well, I mean like one more priest tells me to convert, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know. That's a bit of a
Yeah.
dark joke, but that's just where my brain goes.
Yeah, I've told it in a few different ways.
Hmm.
My favorite is like the contrast of just like most people assume that they're devil worshiping and like baby
Hmm.
killing and like
Hmm.
all these kind of things. And then like if you go to a show, the vocalist is going to be like all about social justice and like climate change and like all kinds of, they're trying to platform that. And then it's immediately defeated by like this next song is,
Right. Yeah.
prolapse suffocation. Yeah. So, um,
Like
oh,
on stage, they are the angriest motherfucker you're ever going to see in your whole
yeah,
life, and then you talk to them off stage, and it's like, "Hi, I'm so happy you came to my
yeah,
show tonight." Like
yeah.
that's
Ooh,
literally like ooh, ooh finger
uh-huh.
touching. Like
Yeah.
that's literally the definition of fucking like
Yeah, I
joke.
feel like any metal show I go to, like if I try to convince somebody to go to a metal show with me, it's like I'm in a Stefan sketch where I'm like, the venue is this abandoned storage unit. Like,
The
um,
venue is the back
yeah,
of a U-Haul in a Chili's
yeah,
parking lot.
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's an absurd love music genre,
Hmm.
and that's why I find it fun.
Oh yeah, it's so
Uh,
fun.
but yeah, you just like it's like you have to be there. If you know,
Hmm.
you know. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. Tell me about a bomb that permanently changed your comedy.
Oh man. Um. Okay. I I just bombed recently, like
Hmm.
really, really hard.
Yeah.
an embarrassing way to I won't say who, but not a touring comedian came
Hmm.
through and asked me to open for them. It was a book tour, so it wasn't
Oh,
necessarily
okay.
like a stand-up comedy tour, but they do
Right, right.
stand-up comedy. They released a book. They're like, "Hey, so and so recommended you. Would you want to open with some stand-up before I come in and talk about my book?" And it just the audience was like there for, it was a weird mix. It was like the
Right.
people were there for a book that really, yeah, and they weren't like expecting comedy. The venue itself gave me no introduction or cue. I just had to go up and do it. uh and then the painful thing is it's like you have to do they're like you have to do 20 minutes, and it wasn't
Ooh.
like okay, I'm you know I don't know, but it was the first time that I had bombed in a way that I needed to get the funk off of me
Hmm.
immediately. And so I immediately looked up like what was the closest open mic to me,
Yeah.
so I could just go and get like do something else, be in front of a different like audience, maybe an audience
Right.
that was expecting comedy. Um, so I think it changed my perspective a little bit on like open mics. I'm gonna be
Hmm.
like, this is gonna sound dumb, but like I hate an open mic
Hmm.
personally. I don't enjoy them. Um, I I don't know. I something about it feels like it's forced for me that
Right.
and so but it did change my appreciation of mics a little more.
Okay.
That where it was like, hey, if I do need something out of this, I can get that with an open mic. And thank God
Yeah.
it's there, right?
Yep. Right. Right. Yeah. No, that's great.
But yeah.
I guess my main takeaway is when you're performing stand-up comedy for an event that is not for people there to
Oh
see
my
stand-up
God.
comedy,
And I've done it a few
man.
times now, and
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm still putting myself through it. I did get like I do a few like bits about kink.
Hmm. Ooh, okay.
And so therefore like they like in a great way I'm embraced by the kink community, and um you know, sometimes they think that people who are at a kink event want to see stand-up comedy. Um, and and so I had to do um, it was a kink it was the kink fetish ball in
Okay.
Portland. And
Okay.
so people were there to participate and play
Hmm.
in a
Hmm.
bar, which questionable. Um,
I mean that sounds like a better environment than my city's like local kink store hosting basement parties every month. That sounds like a way
Yeah.
friendlier environment.
For me, it's like the lines of consent blur a little bit inside of a bar.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, people were there. It was like kink performances. So like I had to
Hmm.
follow this amazing person who was like in a latex bodysuit, and they were suspended and then tortured. And then it was like, here's some stand-up comedy.
Oh my God, no.
And like while I'm performing in like the other in the upstairs area, which you can hear somebody getting electrocuted during my set.
Like
And
you can hear someone having a good time like right
oh
above
yeah.
you. I don't yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't even think no. No.
Yeah.
I don't I
But I
think
think
that's
to like
yeah.
go to your point, it's like there's atmospheres where like people want to insert comedy.
Hmm.
And they think and like it's really sweet that you want to like crossover and like, you
Yeah.
know, celebrate art forms and things, but if people aren't expecting comedy, it's a really hard thing to just throw at them.
Yeah, I don't think I'm expecting to see someone do stand up while I'm there in a pup hood wearing a collar on all fours. I don't think.
Right.
Right.
And like I'm gonna part of like why kink material works
Hmm.
for me in like non-kink rooms is like the element of surprise and shock is there a little bit when you're not
Right.
expecting that conversation. But if you're like a highly kinky person, like it's hard to get, I don't know, it's hard to get shocked. little
Yeah.
bit sometimes with the material, you know? It's like I have jokes about how I have a mommy dom, and everyone's like,
Hmm.
yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we completely understand why you have that.
Yeah, I would.
So
Yeah, I would love to incorporate kink experiences into my material, but I just don't
mhm.
know how the audience is going to react, honestly. Especially
Yeah.
because the problem is that with general audiences who don't know too much about like kink culture,
Hmm.
just just throwing them into the deep end is not a good idea.
No, for sure. It has been an interesting balance. It has
Hmm.
been it's been fun finding the right way to try to make it um accessible, I guess,
Hmm.
is maybe the word I'm looking for, but yeah, but it does work in
Yeah.
non-kink rooms better than it does in kink rooms for
Oh,
me, but
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's see. So, one thing I've learned talking with people on this podcast is that there is a difference between queer comics and comics who are queer. Do you
Mm.
consider yourself to be a queer comic or a comic who just so happens to be queer?
It's a interesting distinction. Um,
I've found that it's an important distinction to make.
okay. Well, I mean, I feel as though I am a queer comedian.
Hmm.
I don't, in the sense that I'm queer, and as a trans person, a lot of what I derive my material from are my experiences.
Hmm.
Um, so I think inherently that makes me a queer comedian.
Right.
Um, I don't like I'm not trying to cater my material to a non-queer audience.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I would say I'm a queer comedian in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess like what is the distinction for people who are like, is it or what is that distinction to be a comedian who just happens to be queer? Like
Uh,
what's the
the
philosophy?
I guess the more so philosophy is that like a queer comedian is someone who like being queer is in definition who they are. Like that is like their ethos, everything. Like when they have all their material is kind of queer centric, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Okay.
And then a comic who just so happens to be queer is just like they are a comedian and they are queer, but they don't consider the queer part of themselves to be like everything. Like they
Hmm.
don't like none of their material is really queer centric. They might just throw in like a oh I suck dick joke here and there. Like they won't
Hmm. Okay.
like they won't make it like everything about who they are or what like their brand so to speak is.
Huh. Okay. Well, then, yeah, I would definitely say I'm a queer comedian.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's a joke you can only tell in front of queer audiences?
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, going back to this philosophy of just like I'm a queer comedian, I tell queer material,
Hmm.
but I do feel like I write it in a way that just feels universal.
Hmm.
That like I can get straight rooms to laugh at it.
Right.
Um, okay. I'm going through my repertoire right now and figuring out
Oh,
like what's the queer specific one.
like, would you like me to
Yeah.
rephrase the question if that helps you
Sure.
out?
Sure.
What is a joke that you would never tell a straight room?
Okay. Mm, hmm. Okay, give me just a second here. I'm just
Okay,
going through my line of thinking here and what I
you got it.
do. I guess it would maybe I guess the closest I have would just be my kink material.
Okay.
Because like when I talk about um sort of being like a top and a bottom, it doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily like something that computes in the straight mind, I guess.
Right.
I can't remember what I was listening to, but somebody was, and it might have just been somebody riffing off a joke, but it was like straight people don't have the labels.
No,
You
no, no.
know, there's no distinctions and stuff. Um, but yeah, I had this bit about how I discovered what type of bottom I am.
Okay.
And it is that I discovered it through impact, which is in kink where you get hit with implements as somebody receiving the implements.
That's one way to find out what type
Yeah,
of bottom you are.
yeah,
Goddamn.
and like,
Okay.
and so during impact, like, the joke is that like, oh well, maybe most bottoms they would like moan, that would be a little sexy. Maybe they yelp because they're in
Hmm.
pain. I discovered that when I get hit, I just giggle. Um, and so it's a real term in the kink community called a
Hmm.
giggle bottom.
Yeah.
So I found out I was a giggle bottom through this, and then the thing is, and the problem with being a giggle bottom is that it's too adorable.
It is. It is way too adorable.
It's too cute, and nobody wants to hit something that is that cute.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that it makes it harder unless you're like a pseudo masochist, in which
if
case
you're
it
a if
it
you're a full-on sadist, then
yeah, if you're
yes,
a full-on sadist,
yeah,
you are going to be the only person who likes that, I think.
yeah.
Like,
And so yeah, the reality is like yes, of course there are people who hit giggle bottoms, but
hmm.
when I do that joke, I'll poll the audience and I'll ask people, I'm like, well, would you hit a giggle bottom? Um, and I get a lot of no's or like I'm a bottom, so no, I wouldn't. But the second I land on somebody who says they would, that's when I start giggling uncontrollably on stage. So it's a fun bit. Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
It's a fun room to do. It's a really fun joke to do in queer rooms. It is
Oh,
a harder
absolutely.
joke to
Yeah.
land in a straight room. Yeah, because one time I did it in a queer room, it was like mostly lesbians, and the second I said that I'm a bottom, they go, "Yeah, we knew." Yeah, yeah, okay. So
God damn.
yeah.
Oh, I think maybe that might be the would that be the worst way to find out you're a giggle bottom is during impact play?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think maybe the worst way is like if you're trying to do like an actual serious
Hmm.
scene and
Hmm.
and I don't want to make anybody feel bad. It's just like when I
Yeah,
get
right.
nervous and I experience
Right.
things like
Right. Right.
laugh, I can't control it. I don't know.
No, no, honestly valid. I feel the exact same way. All right, have you ever had another comic say something to you backstage that completely changed how you view the comedy scene?
Hmm. Comedy advice from other people. Goodness. I don't know. Let me think for a second. Who has like impacted me in certain ways? Um, okay. I think like one thing that's impacted me the most, and it's not a common advice that I get because
Hmm.
I do feel like a lot of people have a certain like mindset with comedy that it has to be done certain ways.
Right.
You have to pay your dues, you have to do jokes per minute or you have to make everybody laugh or there's all kinds of rules that are unwritten
Hmm.
but I think like the most impactful advice from another comedian and one that I admire and I view as successful would just be like um, doing things that are going to make you happy,
Hmm.
like writing stuff that is for you, um, and building your own sort of platform and
Hmm.
pursuing that, and like the right people will find you in that sense.
Okay.
I think that has with um, helped me define like my writing style and keeping it true to me and keeping it true to how I um like I do want to write things that I find funny
Hmm.
personally. I do want to write things that represent me specifically in like the communities that I consider myself a part of. Um, and I don't know that I would feel personally like happy sacrificing any of that.
Hmm.
So I think it was just refreshing to hear from like somebody on that level to be like, you know, you don't have to meet any sort of standard.
Yeah.
Um, you know, do this for you. And like the right people will find you.
Okay, that's some really good advice. That's
It's at least
yeah.
refreshing
Yeah,
advice.
it is kind of refreshing, especially when
Uh-huh.
like you're someone like me who like the majority of my comedy scene in my city is
Yeah.
kind of just like it's kind of this like hustle grind culture where
Hmm.
and like you kind of just forget that like the whole point of comedy is to like, you know, make yourself laugh and not to just like you gotta like do this, do networking this, do blah 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 blah.
Sure.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I just don't know if I would enjoy trying to write things that I think other people. It's a weird thing to say out loud as a
Like
comedian. Like,
it,
I'm
it,
not
it
trying
is
to
weird.
write things
It
that
is weird.
everybody would
Like definitely I
like.
know when I'm writing, it's like I will write something that I personally find funny, but it's
Hmm.
once I perform that and then get the audience reaction that in my brain I'm like, how can I tweak this to make them find it funny?
Sure. Yeah. And yeah, I think there's ways to like
Hmm.
adapt it to maybe a more like generalized audience or something like
Hmm.
that. I just like I I don't know if I'd get enjoyment trying to like force myself to write about certain topics like, you know, current
Right.
events
Right.
or yeah, or just like generic sort of I don't know, airline food, you know, topics.
Right.
But yeah, and like it was refreshing to hear that from somebody who like has like risen in like LA, you know,
Hmm.
where there is like
Yeah.
that grind, like where you say that grind culture, like those sort of professional sort of stereotypes exist. So, um, but yeah, like how is it in your you're in Spokane, is
Yeah,
that right?
I'm in Spokane. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Spokane is it's definitely an interesting scene, I will say that.
Hmm.
Like it's kind of like the best way that I describe Spokane to people is that it's too right wing for Seattle, but it's too left wing for Northern Idaho. Like it's
Okay. It's
like
a
like
fun balance.
it's a fun balance of pissing everyone off is what it does essentially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Do you have like a queer comedy scene there that you rely on? Do you feel
There
like you're on an island?
I don't know.
What's your vibe?
There kind of is like a queer comedy scene, but
Hmm.
like the scene from like what I've noticed is that it's like it's really weird to describe. Like it's like the scene of the people in the queer comedy scene more so just like to get together and joke and have a good time as opposed to like actually want to like consider comedy as like a thing they want to do permanently, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
it's less so like they're doing it because they love performing comedy. They just mostly get together to just have an open mic where they just shoot the shit all the time.
Okay. That's valid.
And that is absolutely valid for sure, but
Right?
it's not but it's just like I don't know, not something I want personally. Like it's
Okay.
is that a valid thing to say? Like that's
Is it just that you want more from your
it's
community?
it's I don't know if it's that I
Not trying to
want
put you on the spot in
no,
front
no,
of
no, no,
the,
no.
you
You're
know,
good. You're good.
people.
It's like
Yeah.
I just don't know, you know? Like I don't
Okay.
know if I want more or if I think it's fine the way it is.
Hmm.
Like it's just like I feel something that I can't quite figure out about it.
Yeah, what is like the people who are seeking comedy, like the audience, is there a need for queer comedy in Spokane?
Is there any well, the way that I see it is that there aren't the way that I see it personally, which is why I kind of
Hmm.
started this whole podcast, is that I feel like there aren't enough queer voices in the mainstream comedy space, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
Like my end goal is I just want more representation,
Hmm.
but like it's kind of hard to get that representation when all of like the people in the queer comedy community are kind of just like sequestering themselves away and not
Mm,
like allowing their queer voices to be heard.
yeah.
If does that
Okay.
make sense at all?
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
right? And um yeah, like on the mainstream level, like
Hmm.
we're sort of uh it's still not enough. Like
Yeah.
we're getting some really good comedians coming on a at least on a current rise, which is really
Hmm.
exciting. And then
Yeah.
but yeah, it is hard to just build community in general.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, I was just kind of curious like uh if I were to come up and try to get booked in Spokane, like is that something that could happen?
Hmm.
Is there a queer comedy audience theme there?
I mean, for it kind of depends on the venue that you do. If you do
Okay,
venues like the Blue Door Theater or like the Chameleon, there would definitely be a queer
cool.
audience for that.
Nice.
The Spokane Comedy Club, which is kind of like the main comedy hub in the Spokane area. They do like a twice monthly drag brunch, but I
Hmm,
don't know if
okay.
that's necessarily like, you know, yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
All right, so when talking with a lot of other queer comics about the comedy community as a whole, I've gotten a lot of mixed reactions. Some
Okay.
say it's one of the most welcoming and understanding communities that there is, and others say that it's this incredibly toxic culture. Where do
Hmm.
you stand on that, and or do you have a different opinion altogether?
Hmm. Yeah, I think it like begs the question of like is it specifically queer comedy
Hmm.
that people find like that community toxic?
Hmm.
And like what are I wonder I'm curious to know like maybe what those reasons are.
Right.
Yeah, because I think like comedy it's sort of an oxymoron to try to like build community
Right.
and be a stand-up comedian. And I'm not saying it can't be done. What I'm saying is that like it's a very individualistic
Hmm.
um art form
It
and
is.
career if you think you can make it as a career pursue.
Hmm.
Um and so what does it mean to have community as a comedian? Especially in a sense where we're technically competing a little bit,
A
right? Like
little
we're
bit, yeah.
competing. Yeah, and it's just a matter of if you have the right mindset. Like
Hmm.
if a queer comedian gets platformed and gets booked, are you happy for that comedian because that's creating more opportunity for you?
Hmm.
Or are you of the mindset of like I'm jealous of that person. Why wasn't it me? Um, so yeah, and then from like a comedy community approach,
Right.
there's that sort of like people's feelings can get hurt if like they're not getting booked. What does it mean? Are you like do people feel like because you booked me, therefore I have to book you, mindsets and all kinds of things. So I think there's a lot of reasons why people could maybe feel like it's a toxic community.
Hmm.
Um, on a personal level. Um, and maybe this is just specific
Right.
to where I am, because in Portland, um, it's a very independently run comedy scene. We don't
Hmm.
really rely on clubs for stage time, for
Okay.
audiences, for exposure, um, which may or may not be hurting us or not. I don't know. It just depends on what your level of success is in comedy. But
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, right. But I feel personally
Hmm.
that like I love my queer comedy community.
Hmm.
And it doesn't mean that there's not like levels of it that maybe people feel challenged or maybe there's some infighting on like what the standards of even just queer community in general means to people.
Hmm.
But I personally really love the queer community that we have here
Yeah.
because we have a luxury of having a widely queer audience.
Hmm.
And so we get to have shows that are just queer lineups um, on a regular basis. And so it's really fun to get to see us having our own little corner of the comedy market, where we're
Yeah.
getting the people who want to see us come in. We're getting a wide range of queer comedians getting the chance to get on stage and make us laugh. And so, um, can you, I do this thing where I ramble and then I
Hmm.
forget what you actually asked me, and
You're
I don't
good.
know if I actually answered your question or not. So
I mean, you
repeat the
get
question to me.
the question was so like some comedians think that the comedy community is welcoming, some others think that's incredibly
Okay.
toxic. I was just asking you if
Yeah.
you had a stance on that or if you had a different opinion altogether, which I think you definitely had a different opinion altogether,
Okay.
which which definitely kind of blends the more so reality of it is just that it like comedy is just this incredibly like individualized like platform, you know.
Hmm.
And like definitely it's what I've noticed when talking like asking that specific question to everyone, it always depends on like one what city and what area and
Yeah.
also kind of just like their general experience altogether because even say if they're like a touring comedian even.
Hmm.
But like fuck, I had a point to this, but then my ADHD ass just completely forgot it.
Sure.
Fuck. Um, no, I
Yeah.
just don't fucking
I
remember what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Goddamn.
Hopefully it comes back to you.
Oh boy.
But it does like it does beg a question, and I don't know if this is even like a queer specific thing.
Hmm.
But like are comedians welcoming in general,
Um,
right? And
eh,
yeah, and I don't know. Uh I think in a lot of ways yes, and I think a
mhm.
lot of ways I think it's very nuanced, and and I think it depends on how people got into it for what reasons.
Right, right.
Um, Personally, I have found that I do feel like the queer comedy community is pretty welcoming, is pretty
Hmm.
darn open to building it and inviting new people in. Um, I think in a lot of ways it maybe kind of comes with maybe a standard, like um, we're trying to buid up communities, and if if there are comics that are trying to um, maybe tell jokes that are considered punching down or at the expense of other marginalized groups, then maybe it might not feel as welcome for you.
Okay.
Um, but I don't, on a personal level, like I do really try to build community within the queer community itself. So like having I have a long running queer open mic that's open to queers and allies. I have a long running queer show where we only feature queer comedians on stage. I teach stand up to queer students. That is pay what you can. So,
Okay.
it's I'm not trying to limit people's ability to be welcomed into the queer comedy scene. And I would hope that others feel the same way as me.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. One thing I will say is because I have the free version of Zoom because I'm broke and don't
Yeah.
pay for the real shit.
Yeah, it's fair.
So each meeting is limited to 40 minutes. According to this, we've got like around 4 minutes left. Do you want
Okay.
to do another 40-minute session or do you want to cut it
Yeah.
at the end of this? Okay, good. I just wanted to see where
Yeah.
your head
Let's
was
keep
at.
going.
All right, great. So let's see here. What's a joke premise you'll defend to your dying breath, even if it doesn't work out?
Hmm. So when you say joke premise, you mean like a bit that I personally
Hmm.
love that, okay.
Like a bit that
Uh,
you love, but no one else just seems to like get it.
oh,
Like, you
okay.
know, like
Uh-huh.
people will shit on like the bit or the premise of the bit, and you're like, no, this is a good fucking bit. Fuck you. Like this is.
Okay. And are you wanting like mine personal or like
Mhm. Just
anybody's? Okay. Yeah,
your
mine
personal one. If
personally.
you can think of any other examples that other people seem to have,
Uh-huh.
go
Oh,
all
sure.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm trying to think like where I have needed to feel like a defendant. But I think like for me, one that I have is just I have some jokes about professional wrestling.
Okay.
And I'll defend professional wrestling as a premise by itself without comedy. Like professional
Okay.
wrestling is an amazing art form, and it's one of my favorite things to watch. And uh, I understand where people think it's stupid, um, but I'll defend that to a harsh like a big degree. Like
Yeah.
I think it's great, and I think like the thing I have to defend the most is like where queerness and pro wrestling intersect,
Mm-hmm.
and
Rhea Ripley, that's it.
but who's not queer.
Ooh, okay.
Um, but like and it is like it's like okay, like when I say wrestling's queer,
Mm-hmm.
like people who aren't are gonna be mad about that, but then also like I'm trying to convince queer people to watch pro wrestling who maybe think it's a straight activity.
No, like wrestling is the gayest sport to exist aside from apparently the recent hockey rebrand. That's
Sure. And
right.
I don't know, maybe it's a hot take, but I mean, you could have applied the heated rivalry to any sport and people would have
You
been
absolutely.
lost their minds.
Yeah,
And
no, I feel like if we just like make a heated rivalry show about like
Mhm.
two lesser known like WWE actors, I feel like
Sure.
that will bring them the dying audience that they've been looking for.
Yeah, but we could have wrote a heated rivalry queer love story about two cricket players, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
still,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
All right.
absolutely. All right, everyone, welcome to the ad segment for this episode. It's the little bit of the show where I devote time to plugging social medias, plugging any upcoming shows, and also just letting all of the ad breaks that would happen throughout the episode happen kind of continuously in this one spot for the next like 5 or so minutes, just so that way the whole interview just doesn't get interrupted. And that said, yeah, let's get into it. You can find Allie on Instagram at AllieJisGay. You can find the show that Allie produces, Lady Killers, at Lady Killers Comedy on Instagram. And you can find the other show that Allie produces, Hear You Loud and Queer, at Hear You Loud and Queer on Instagram. You can find the podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Out Loud Comedy Podcast. And then, of course, you can find me on social media.
I'm sorry.
I love you.
I didn't realize you were recording.
You're good. That's my fiance. Anyway, you can find me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at CJW_comedy. You can find my YouTube at simply just CJW comedy. You can find my Bluesky at cjwcomedy.bsky.social. And you can also find me on Facebook, because I started one of those, at just CJW comedy, or it might just be Corbin Willmorth comedy. I'm not sure. It's one of the two. There'll be a link in the description either way. Tomorrow, Allie J will be hosting a Lady Killers show at the Show Bar at Revolution Hall on Wednesday, June 10th, and it's going to be at 7 p.m. So if you're in Portland, go to the Show Bar at Revolution Hall, and yeah, it's going to be a great show. You guys should honestly go check it out. And then you can catch Allie J's other show, Hear You Loud and Queer, on June 26th, the Pride Show, at the Comedy Lounge in Boise. That's crazy, considering I didn't think Idaho allowed queer shows like that, which might just be me being Idaho phobic, which is valid. But anyway. Yeah, on June 26th, you can catch the Pride Show at the Comedy Lounge in Boise at 7 p.m. Go check it out. I'm sure that's going to be a great show as well. And then I've got 3 shows upcoming this month. Today, the day this episode comes out, June 9th, I will be at the Spokane Comedy Club at 7 p.m. for New Talent Tuesday. And then again, I will be at the all my shows are at the Spokane Comedy Club, just so you guys are aware. And then on the 17th, I'll be at the Spokane Comedy Club again at 7 p.m. for just their regular open mic night. And then I will be again at the Spokane Comedy Club at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, the 24th. It was the 27th, but it got changed to the 24th for the never ending open mic where over 40 comics will be just doing nonstop comedy either until we run out of comics or the city shuts us down. One of the two. Either way, it's going to be a great night. It's going to be a great night. It's also going to be free. So, you know, if you got nothing better to do, come see a comedy show. Then, of course, the last two things I'm going to plug right here before we get back to the regular scheduled interview is that, one, if you are a queer comedian or know of a queer comedian and you'd love to get on the show, simply just shoot me an email. Shoot an email to outloudqueerpodcast@gmail.com and I will get you on this show. I want this show to be a platform to get as many queer voices on the airwaves as I can. And then, of course, the last thing I want to plug is that this show I have a Patreon that I upload ad-free versions of the show to. It will be linked in the show notes, linked in the description. And currently, I will admit I was really behind on uploading content to the Patreon. Considering on Thursday, I don't have any work. At least I'm not scheduled to work. So I'm just going to spend all day Thursday just uploading all of the stuff that I have yet to upload to the Patreon. I did, like, on Saturday, I think, I did get edited and uploaded an ad-free version of the Gwen Rose episode. So if you want to hear that ad-free, you can go ahead and do that as well. And another thing I'm thinking of doing is that I have the actual Zoom recording footage of, like, me talking with at least of the comedians I have available. I'm thinking I should just start uploading that to the Patreon if you guys want a video version of this podcast as well, which if you do, then fucking yeah, go ahead and sub to the podcast if you want to have a video version. Thank you all so much for tuning into the ad segment for this episode. I really hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed the ads. And now let's just get back on to the rest of this episode. How was your break?
Good. I got a Diet Coke.
Oh God, I
played
wish
a
I had
little
Diet Coke.
played a little Shredder's Revenge.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
God, I have a Diet Coke hat in this room somewhere. I need to find
Uh-huh.
it so bad. Oh my God. My fiance and I constantly argue over which is better, Diet Coke or Coke Zero.
I mean, there's a clear answer.
There is a clear answer.
Yeah,
Which is
it's
your
Diet
answer?
Coke.
Yes. Thank you. Fucking
Coke.
thank.
And here's the thing, I traditionally like zero sugar sodas more,
Hmm.
like a Dr. Pepper Zero, a Barks Zero.
Right,
I mean,
right.
but Diet Coke is its own special
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know what it is. To me personally, I think that Diet Coke is leagues above Coke Zero, but
Hmm.
then Pepsi Zero Sugar is way
Hmm.
better than Diet Pepsi.
Yeah. I won't argue anything else with that.
This, I think, is an opinion that only I, a fat man, can have. I think this is Oh man, let's see. So where are we at? Okay. What's your opinion on crowd work comics?
Um, yeah, it's interesting. I
Hmm.
think um I don't know. I don't have a disdain that like I feel like a
Hmm.
majority of the comedy scene has for them.
Right.
I think it's a cool skill. I think it's
Hmm.
Um, one that is in its own way pretty special, and I think like the people who do it really well are doing it really well.
Hmm.
But I think like a lot, I think where people who are casual comedy fans or even big comedy fans, and then also like comedians who don't quite know what crowd work is or how to achieve it, understand how much of it is like is is just capturing a flash in a pan.
Right.
Like there's very, very few comedians who like do crowd work for like their main source of entertainment
Right. Right.
and are landing every single time. And the reality is I assume
Hmm.
that they are just capturing only the good stuff. And there's like a lot of just flat, crowd work that
Right.
they're also doing. Um, so I don't know. I don't know that I have like a high respect for it. I don't know that
Hmm.
I actually have a high disdain for it either. Um, and I think there's like fun ways to balance it. Like I think I have like a couple bits that I think you could consider crowd work,
Okay.
but I also consider those like pretty contained. Like they're based on my premise and my scenario that I'm presenting to a crowd
Hmm.
versus like me asking you, what do you do for a living
Right.
and trying to riff off of that.
Yeah, the main reason I ask this is just because I noticed like on social media primarily, like this is kind of like the big thing, like at
Hmm.
least right now, like 2025, 2026 is like crowd work. Like
Yeah.
there are some comedians who have like made entire careers based off of crowd work.
Yeah.
And then I even am now seeing like comedians like do whole like hour long just crowd work specials.
Hmm.
Which I want like kind of like you said how sometimes it's like crowd works like hit or miss and they'll only like post the footage that does work. Kind of makes me
Yeah.
wonder how like a whole hour of that works, you know?
Here's kind of my hunch is
Right.
that I don't, there's a crowd work, there's a comedian who I think a lot of people would consider crowd work that I saw live. And the reason
Hmm.
why I saw them was that my spouse loves this comedian.
Right.
And my spouse isn't a big comedy fan,
Right.
but loves this comedian. We saw this comedian live, and they did like a whole weekend of shows, right? So they did like 4 to 8 shows in in the span of a weekend.
Hmm.
And what we noticed was like the second something wasn't working or the crowd wasn't giving anything to them, they just moved on. And then they just found something until it started working, you know?
Okay, interesting.
And I think what's happening is like this is me
Hmm.
presuming, this is me guessing how this works. But they one of two things are happening. One, they filmed a bunch of shows with the crowd in the same room, the same outfit, everything, made it look seamless like it's an hour. Uh or had some plants. Which is
That's
also a thing that happens with crowd work comedians.
yeah, that's where my brain went to
Mhm.
immediately. It was like they had to have like planted someone in the audience, I thought.
Yeah, and it's like there's a bit of like this element that like I think with crowd work that the audience like perceives as like this magic trick. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like they're and like I think what's happening is that all they're doing is they're just doing callbacks, right? Like
Yeah.
they're just remembering what this person had said earlier, making the connection with this person's life or their reactions and their things and like making it seem like it's a seamless joke, right? And
Okay.
so I don't know. That's just my hunch from witnessing like a high level crowd work comedian.
Okay.
Also from hearing other people being like, yeah, some of them are plants, some of them are this, but
Okay.
I don't think there's anybody out there who's like, I'm gonna do a room in an hour. We're gonna film that 1 hour, and in that 60 minutes, every single interaction's gonna hit. Like, I don't think that's realistic.
Okay. No, I
Yeah.
was this is like a new question that I've added to like my
Uh-huh.
repertoire, so I was just trying to like test that one out. Sorry for you
Hmm.
being my test subject on that
No,
one.
you're fine.
Um,
I don't, yeah, like I don't I don't want to devalue crowd work, I think,
mhm.
But like what you're kind of to your point is like it is just sort of the new trend. It's just this
Yeah.
thing, and like I just opened for a pretty well-known touring comedian, and what they did was they did their hour. They did an hour of
Hmm.
stand-up, and then for 15, 20 minutes after the show, they just did Q&A stuff, but
Okay.
still filmed it and still used that as like crowd work clips.
Interesting. Okay.
So I think comedians at a higher level are recognizing that this is sort of like this is what they need to feed the algorithm,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, and the new sort of audience of comedy fans, and are finding out ways to do that while still honoring the thing that they hold precious. Because I think
Okay.
that's the other thing too, is like you have a lot of comedians who have old school mentalities and want to shit on
Right.
crowd work as an art form or as a comedy style. And the common critique is that crowd work comedians don't write; they just do this.
They
But
kind of just riff for like an hour.
yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not trying to question the validity of it. I just
Yeah.
yeah, I'm also just curious why it is so popular.
Yeah, that's also kind of like what I'm trying to get at from
Yeah.
like asking other people this questions because I want to see why they think it's popular to see if it makes sense to me.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on it? Like, I'm curious.
I mean, kind of like I said, like it's kind of just like the new like hot social media trend, basically.
Hmm.
like I know, like I know, in my city there is one comedian who is primarily just like crowd work. Like he has like a few good jokes in his back pocket, but then he's just
Yeah.
mostly crowd work. And the first time I ever saw this comedian, I brought my sister because I was performing that night too. It was like an open
Mhm.
mic. And I was not expecting this guy to single my sister and I out and be like, "So, you two got an OnlyFans or what's the deal?"
Mm.
And then when I told him like that's my sister, he's like, "Oh, so you guys don't have an OnlyFans?" Like,
Yeah, like it
yeah,
wasn't
no.
high
It
level.
was not, no, it was not
Yeah.
high level. No.
Okay. What was it, a similar experience of like if things weren't working, did they just move on and like try to
They
find the next thing?
kind of, yeah, they kind of just went from
Yeah.
like audience member to audience member trying to
Mhm.
farm like a bit out of them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that's like I don't think it's necessarily wrong. I just
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I just don't know how entertaining it is on a certain level too. Like is
It,
it fun as an audience member to like watch something not play out?
Right, like I've talked with a few people who aren't comedians but do go to comedy shows who
Hmm.
will say that like they don't want to be in like the front of the audience because they don't want to get singled out as like a potential target for crowd
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. And that's a balance too. I don't
Hmm.
necessarily want the person that wants all the attention.
Right.
That I don't, that person that is front row that it does want to be picked.
Right.
I guess if I'm doing crowd work, I want sort of like the best natural reaction of things. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's an
Yeah.
interesting time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how does being queer affect your comedy? And how has your perspective made you stand out compared to other non-queer comedians?
Okay. Um, I don't know. I don't want to say like I don't want to try to assume
Right.
that I stand out in a certain way. I've only
Hmm.
been doing comedy for 3.5 years.
Okay, that's
So
that's
I, I don't
still a
want to
good
call
chunk of time.
myself an expert or anything.
Hmm.
Um, so, but how does being queer affect how I am as a comedian?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, like I personally like my I guess comedy philosophy is like I prefer to write things from my own personal point of view,
Hmm.
and my own experiences. I'm not trying to write material or jokes about other groups of people that I don't have any insight on how their perspective is. And that is a sense of like I don't want to like the comparison being like straight comedians doing trans jokes. Like I
Right,
don't
right.
I don't want to be that kind of comedian. I don't want to write jokes about another group that I'm not a part of.
Hmm.
Um, so I think like my queerness and my identity really dictates a lot of how I do write. Like I want to insert my perspective and my point of view on on those subjects. So like for example, like if I'm doing a joke about professional wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to highlight the how it shows up for me as a queer person, as a trans woman. Um, so I'm trying to make the connections of those things with my the find the intersection of the topic and then my identity. So
Okay.
I think that's like how a lot of this sort of dictates how I write and how and I think like finding your comedic voice is another way that that also sort of dictates a bit how you write too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've defined mine, but I've had like peers sort of dictate how I like to take the feedback of peers and use that to sort of dictate a little bit how I write.
Okay.
Like early on, people were in like your stand-up's very narrative, like almost storytelling, like, and
Mm-hmm.
I like that about you. So like, okay, cool. I took that as like I that helped me sort of formulate some new things. And then as I've grown and as I've gotten more comfortable, another level of feedback I've gotten is like, you're a very lovable shithead. Um, and I really like that that character, like,
Mm-hmm.
or that description of me. I don't say it's a character, but like that's the perception of somebody and who I respect perceiving me, and they like that, and that has also sort of helped me like, okay, when I write things, how can I make this a little more that tinge or those things? So, um, but like naturally, being
Mm-hmm.
queer, being trans, those experiences, just dictate how I write. Um, and then what was the second half of your question?
The second half of that question was, how has your perspective made you stand out compared to other
Oh, okay.
non-queer community? And you kind of answered that right away by being like, I don't like to think of myself as someone who stands out.
Yeah, sure. I
Yeah.
think like Um, in comparison to maybe standing out in the sense of like non-queer comedy spaces or in comparison to non-queer comedians, I
Mm-hmm.
think there is a level of maybe it's just a time right now where people are just wanting to hear more queer, trans, marginalized voices
Mm-hmm.
than maybe what the standard has been for the for comedy since I don't know since it's since the television era or something. I don't know when since it's been popular.
Right, right,
And so I think like do I maybe get tokenized here and there? Probably. Like I'm
right.
often the only woman or the only queer person on a lineup, or only trans person on a lineup. But um, I think like naturally it has made me sort of stand out by default,
Right.
in some way. But I also think that I don't know. I think queer folks and queer comedians do tend to lean on those life experiences, and those are interesting. So,
Okay.
and maybe a lot of non-queer comics don't insert that, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, or maybe it's just I don't know. I feel like I do like we're at a time where like we need more because we just naturally
Yes.
don't have as much.
Yeah.
And I think yeah, like it's a good time to be also performing because people want to hear those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, my cat kind of got into the room, so I just had to frantically
Oh,
text my
that's
fiance
okay.
to like get the cat out of here. Sorry about that. And here's where we circle back to like the start of the podcast. Let's
Hmm.
assume you go to therapy, which as a comedian is very likely not happening, but let's just say it is. If you could
Okay.
choose any fictional character to be your therapist, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh. Fictional character
Yes, fictional
has to
character.
be my therapist.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Okay. Hmm. That's who do I view the most well put together fictional character, right? Is
Mm. Well,
or one with the most life experience? I don't.
I guess what I will say
Yeah.
is choose someone who is the most true to yourself. Because every
Hmm.
time I've asked this question, I've always there is a common answer that a lot of people have given. I will say
Okay.
that. And
Interesting.
and what the only thing I really have to say is just choose someone who you think to you would be a great therapist.
Hmm. Okay. I need I need a second to rack my pop culture brain here and determine hmm. This is tough, man. This is a really fun question.
Oh yeah.
Uh, what's the common answer?
The
I'm
common
very
answer is Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting.
Oh, okay. I've never seen that, so
Okay, well,
I couldn't do that. Interesting. Okay.
like for instance, the last person I talked to said Miss Frizzle
Oh, that's a good one.
would be a good therapist. My personal, I don't know if you play a lot of video
Yeah.
games, but
Okay. Not,
my personal choice is the Milkman from the Psychonauts games.
mm,
Do you know who this character is?
no, I don't.
Okay. Um so basically there all I will say is that there's this scene that replays in my head from that game where
Hmm.
this milkman is being abducted by aliens. And as he's like floating up in the tractor beam, he just says, "I am the milkman. My milk is delicious," as he gets zoomed away. And in my head,
Hmm.
I'm like, if I could just drink like a special milk that will just cure all of my mental
Hmm.
illness, I think I would. But then someone got into the argument of, well, that seems more like a psychiatrist than a therapist. I'm like, what?
Oh,
Like,
okay.
there's a difference? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Fictional, fictional, fictional. I don't know. This is so tough. I've never. Okay. Um, maybe Big Pete Wrigley from The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Okay, okay,
I feel like I feel like just that narration of his voice and like and then him like his way of looking at the world is one that is like a whimsy and wonder, but also like it's very beautiful, and like a big picture that I kind of wish I could see sometimes. So
right.
I think maybe that if you had asked me like a real person, I'd have the answer in a heartbeat. But
Okay, well, I guess who would you want to be your therapist in real life then?
John Prine,
John Prine. Okay,
singer songwriter, I just think is the most brilliant mind. But yeah,
okay.
that's a really fun question. And I'm also glad you didn't go into like what are the things in therapy you're working on,
Yeah,
kind of
no, I
thing.
mean, yeah, no, I'm not gonna be that invasive with questions unless I know you on a personal level. I'm not gonna ask you questions like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, what's the pettiest reason you've disliked another comic?
Mm, mm. This feels like
Are you uncomfortable with that question?
no, it's just this feels like that that Hot Ones,
Oh,
like
yeah.
truth or dab sort of situation where it's
I
like what's
if this was Hot Ones, I'd at least be having the like enjoyment of
yeah,
like eating chicken wings, I feel
someone's toward
like.
yeah, yeah. Okay, it's the pettiest reason that I've never not liked a comedian.
Hmm.
Hmm, I think what's like a real petty, petty position here. Okay. Um, okay.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say names,
Of course, of
of
course.
course, but a particular reason why I may not like this comedian, is that they have pretty snobbish takes on the metal genre itself.
Okay.
And even though they don't really talk about that on stage or in their thing, but just like on a personal level, having bad takes
Interesting. Would you
on
have
like
okay.
yeah,
Would you have
uh,
respected them more if they did share these opinions on stage?
no,
No.
definitely not.
No.
No.
Are
But
you
like I'm sure
okay?
they're great. Yeah, they're another yeah, I don't know. In general, they have sort of snobbish
Okay.
takes and I just kind of like they're wrong. To me, they're wrong takes. I'm sure my takes are wrong from their perspective, but
Okay.
that for me on like the petty levels, like I don't respect this person.
Right. No, no, absolutely, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
If you're comfortable sharing, what's a dog shit opinion they've told you recently? Or at least
Gosh,
one that you
that's
can remember them telling you.
yeah, it's been a minute, but like, um, I I just have like I think I'm in the wrong personally. I think maybe
Okay.
I have the wrong opinions about metal, but
Mm-hmm.
I just think like what people's definition of like what some bands are and some aren't
Mm-hmm.
really bothers me, you
Yeah.
know. Um and like I don't know. I don't I don't like to think of a mainstream sort of band like maybe Slipknot
Mm-hmm.
is one that I'm considering like welcomed into the sort of really heavy metal, death metal,
Mm-hmm.
areas of where I need things to be for me
Okay.
personally. I
Okay.
just think like people who listen to like a new metal or like an intro level of it that
Mm-hmm.
think that's it. That's
Like
the hard stuff,
people who
right?
just listen to like the top 40 rock station and like fucking
Yeah, yeah.
like people who just listen to like that aren't like people who are really nuanced in like the genre, so to speak.
Yeah, or can
Okay.
have or allowed to speak on it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can see where you're coming from there, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't. You're not allowed to talk on it then, you
Like
know?
like I grew up in like the King County, Washington area, which is where like Seattle is. And so
Yeah.
like when I was in like middle school, high school, I was like that one shithead who listened to like every Nirvana album. I would like
Hmm.
shit on people for only knowing like Smells Like Teen Spirit. Like
Right.
fucking like I was that like type of like nuanced asshole.
Yeah. I know, and I know for a fact I am
Uh-huh.
in a lot of ways that is how I'm perceived in some ways, but I don't know. I guess as an Aries, I'm just convinced I'm right, and
Oh, okay.
nobody's really going to change that opinion either.
Well, as a Sagittarius, I know I'm wrong, but I'm still gonna fight for
Sure,
my
yeah.
I'm still gonna fight my opinion.
Yeah. There
Like
you
there will
go.
be a point where I will know I'm wrong, but I've already gone too deep into arguing my point that I'm not just gonna stop
I
arguing
can't.
it.
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
know I'm wrong the longer I go.
I'm gonna exhaust everybody around me to just
Right,
making sure they accept that.
right. All
Hmm.
right, so we're on to our last two questions here.
Okay.
What city, in your opinion, has the weirdest comedy scene?
I don't really feel like I get to have an opinion on that.
Have
I
you
have
just
only
have you
yeah.
mostly just stayed in like Portland kind of?
Yeah, the only places I've done comedy outside of Portland right
Hmm.
now are Seattle, Idaho, Boston, and New Orleans.
Okay.
And so I don't know. I don't know that I get to have an opinion on that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess what I will say is having done comedy in what sounds like five different states,
Hmm.
which of the out of those five cities would you say has been like significantly notable, would you say?
Like for weird.
Like weird or just like definitely stuck out, you know?
Okay. I mean, I would say Portland.
Of course.
Um Yeah, and of the other cities, Portland is just kind of, I think Portland and New Orleans are the ones that I'd been to where it's not dominated by club culture.
Okay. Okay.
And that's, because like Seattle has what, like four big clubs, right?
Uh,
Maybe more.
maybe more. I know
Yeah.
like immediately what comes to my head is the Emerald City Comedy
Hmm.
Club, the Tacoma Comedy Club, which like it's
Yeah.
outside of Seattle, but it's still
There's
a major.
laughs,
It's
there's
still a
club
major one. There's Laughs
comedy.
Club Comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I just kind of feel like in order to get into those areas, like you kind of have to do the clubs. You can't,
Mm-hmm.
there's it doesn't mean that there isn't indie comedy, and Seattle has some really good ones.
Right.
But I just like in comparison with Portland, like we only have the one club,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else is really independently run. And because of that, we get some really just niche shows that are really pretty fun. Does it mean they're super successful? Maybe not, but
Mm-hmm.
successful enough to like continue and
Right.
operate on a regular basis. Um, and so, but as for weird, like yeah, there's some weird comedy shows here that are a lot of fun. Um, and yeah, I'm having a hard time personally wanting to leave Portland.
Mm-hmm.
I think like we get a lot of advice from people who are like, if you want to make this your career, if you want to make this, you want to make it big, you have to leave Portland. I don't know. I'm not personally like
Right.
on the think I'm on a trajectory where I'm trying to get like famous, but what I am doing in Portland is I'm having a really fun time being on
Oh,
stage
absolutely.
and doing like I'm excited about doing shows that are niche
Right.
and specific. So,
Yeah, definitely. My goal is not to get famous, but if I get enough notoriety that I can quit working at McDonald's, I think that'd be so great. I think.
yeah, I'm at a point where I'm working 3 days a week and it's just enough to scrape by.
Yeah.
And it gives me the freedom to do the cool things that I want to do. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So my last question here. What kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind in the world of comedy, and what do you want people to remember you for?
Hmm. Well, I think that's a really fun question, and I think one that I'll probably change several times and as I
Yeah.
keep doing this. But
Mm-hmm.
I think like right now, like my goal going into comedy when I started it, um, was to just I wanted to be somebody who was recognized and respected for being a big part of the queer scene.
Mm-hmm.
That was really important to me going in. Um, and so, and that's a vague description. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean, right? And it is, and it's vague in the sense that like I'm not everybody's favorite. And I don't know that I'm trying to be a favorite. I think for me, what I hope at least right now in this point in my career that my legacy is the sense of I hope I created comedy um spaces and shows that had some form of integrity and some form of community. Um, I don't want to say what I have and what I offer are safe spaces because I don't. It's a very specific definition that I think nobody meets. And I'm doing what I can to try to get close to that.
Okay.
Um, and so that just means like spaces that uh, are inclusive and welcoming, understanding that like um, it's a hard definition to meet. Um, but my hope is that when people who come and enter the spaces that I do, that they feel welcome, they feel comfortable, they feel like they're a part of that community, and they didn't leave feeling like that they were any part of the butts of the joke, like they weren't
Mm-hmm.
the subject of being punched at.
Right.
Um, um, and in the sense too of at least that they don't deserve that.
Right.
But yeah, and so I hope that I created that, and I hope that I created a place that people who were wanting to start comedy and wanted to or at least people who wanted to see comedy was one that they wanted to go to because of those reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me today. We've got some time left here.
Yeah.
My goal is to get this episode out on the 9th, like next Tuesday, this upcoming
Oh, wow,
Tuesday.
that's fast.
Um, if you have anything around the 9th or afterwards that you want to plug, anything, any shows, anything you want to plug your social media, do whatever you want, do it right now.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm Allie J. Ward, and I would love it if you went and followed me on Instagram at Allie J is gay. That's ALLYJ, ISGAY. And that's just where I have the hub for all the things I'm doing. So if you're in Portland, in my bio are the shows that I produce. And the link in my bio are, tickets for shows I'm producing right now. If you are in Portland and you want to learn some stand-up comedy, you can do that with me. And if you're not in Portland, give me a follow, keep an eye out. I did film a special in
Oh,
January, and I plan to put that out in some capacity very soon. So
okay.
whether that's on YouTube, probably YouTube is where
Probably.
it's going to land. So and yeah, I filmed an hour. I think I'm just going to release a half-hour teaser. And I hope people go watch and support it.
All right. Hell yeah. Thank
Oh,
you.
and the
Oh,
special is called Imposter Syndrome. So if anybody,
ooh,
yeah,
okay. That
so
is that
keep an
is a
eye out.
good title.
Yeah,
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 keep an eye out for Ali J. Ward's Imposter Syndrome coming to YouTube whenever the fuck it comes out. That's
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again so
Hey.
much for sitting down with me.
Oh, thanks. It was good to meet you. Thanks for
Yep.
inviting me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Hope you tune into the next one. Please do me a favor and check out the show notes. There you're going to find our guest's social media as well as the stuff of my own that I'm plugging. I would like to give a shout out to my friend Morningstar for being the one to actually make the profile image for this podcast. Do you know of any other queer comedians that I should contact to see if I can get on this podcast? Let me know and I'll see if I can hunt them down. My name is Corbin Willmorth. Thank you for listening, and as a reminder, make sure you don't keep your head on straight.